2018 is now in session. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the October 25th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any modifications or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, abstentions. The minutes are officially approved. Second order of business is to adopt the resolutions from the October 25th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the resolutions?
So moved. Second.
Any modifications or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolutions are officially adopted. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. The way we work it here is that the application, or the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the required variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record, except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Staff will now introduce the first application.
Good afternoon. The first application is application V 18-14. This is an area variance for the required front yard for the property at 1117 Butternut Street to construct a multifamily dwelling. The property owner is Butternut Crossing LLC, and the property is located within a business class A zoning district.
And if I could just give some background information on this project. This was first proposed a while ago. The fire department had a condition that the fire access be much wider on the side street, which was Grassman Avenue. It's a very narrow city street at that time. The parcel next to, on the corner of Grassman and Butternut, was donated to the city. Therefore, by way of dedication through the Planning Commission and Common Council. As a result of that dedication, it is now right-of-way. So the piece of property next to this corner property is now the front yard of where this project is. And so therefore, that is why this variance has been necessitated. So through no hardship or fault of the
Is part of that property actually city streets now?
Yes, it has been dedicated. No, not the Butternut Crossing project or Butternut Commons. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but this is a result of the fire department needing wider access and the dedication. I just wanted you to have some background on that to let you know why the applicant is here, because it's now a front yard, whereas before it was a side yard.
Do we have an applicant? Anybody who comes to the podium, please state your name and address before you speak. Thank you.
I should mention I'm on the board of directors for Housing Vision.
Hi, my name is Chris Trevisani, and I'm the Vice President of Development for Housing Vision. So I really don't have much to add than what Heather mentioned, but.
Yeah, I just turned it up.
But this might just provide.
You need a microphone, so you can grab it and.
You can pull it off the stand.
So this might just provide a better visual. So here's Butternut Street, and then here's Grassman Avenue. And the parcel in between our original property line and Grassman was formerly owned by the convenience store across the street. So the land bank acquired that, and then we bought it from the land bank and then donated that to the city. So the original boundary lines of Butternut Crossing remain unchanged. But by virtue of the widening of Grassman and the dedication of that street, you know, as Heather mentioned, it now creates a front yard setback issue. So the building hasn't changed. It's just a matter of accommodating the fire department to get emergency vehicles back there. get to the parking lot and fight whatever issues we need to at the building.
So otherwise, it's all permitted.
Yes.
Can I ask where's, it's gonna be down to 4 feet in the setback. Where is that point?
The 4-foot setback is from this building line to this property line right here.
I see.
And there was some requirement about street trees. Is that even possible in that area?
There's some conversation with street trees, and I think it's just the arborist and the engineering department and the fire department, and all kind of need to agree with that, but we're trying to accommodate as many trees as we can in there.
Okay. Because I noticed that originally there was a lot of tree cover on this property, and so a lot of it is gonna get lost, right?
Correct.
We're only waiving the front yard, that's all we care about.
Yeah.
Other questions? No questions? No questions? Okay, thank you. Anybody here wish to speak
Thank you.
in favor of this application? Excuse me. You have to step up to the podium and state your name. You want to speak in favor?
I need this.
No,
Oh, right
you
here.
need it
Okay.
because we're recording it.
Okay.
And we need it.
Am I to understand that what you want to do, this is
No,
the...
excuse me, ma'am. No,
Okay.
no,
Am I,
excuse me, ma'am. You could only address us. This is not a discussion between you and him. You could have that outside later if you like.
well, I just want to...
Can you state your name and address, please?
My name is Gilda DiCaprio. I live at 127 Spring Street, right around the corner.
Okay.
From what I could understand, they don't want to have any grass there. They want to come right to the street. I have to tell you, on Park Street, at least the 600 block of Park Street, many years ago, somehow they got away with doing that. And those 4 houses look terrible because there's nothing in front except the sidewalk. They really ruined the area. So are we talking about the one with like 24 apartments in it? Okay. Also, I noticed there's a big, huge concrete walls there. I don't know if they're going to be covered. They look terrible. And
Just for the record, I had asked that for anybody in favor, you're against.
I'm
So,
against it
yeah, okay,
because
just for the
I don't feel that the way, from what I've seen, it just doesn't look good. And I'd like to see Butternut Street look better.
Okay. Thank you. We will ask, when I'm done asking if anybody else wants to talk, we'll ask the applicant to address that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody else who wishes to speak against the application? Hearing none, I will ask the applicant if you'd like to make a final statement. You don't have to, but
Yeah, I mean,
you can.
I'm here, I guess we're just here to address this particular application, but I'm happy to discuss whatever other issues you have on other properties outside of this meeting. But in terms of beautifying Butternut, I think this entire project, all the way from 808 Butternut to here, I think really helps revitalize Butternut Street. And the walls that you see now are actually the foundation, and then the property will get graded and landscaped. So it's really
So that's
what
the
you see
foundation.
now is not what it will ultimately end up looking like. So again, we're just here because of the widening of the road to just really help accommodate emergency vehicles getting to the site.
Could you tell us what landscaping there will be between the building and Butternut?
Yeah, so there will be tree plantings all along within the right-of-way on Butternut and on the private property as well. So some of the requirements deal with the power company needing clearances for their wires and things like that. So that's why some of the trees had to be removed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cabrio, if you have any other questions, you're welcome to talk to this person. I'm volunteering him, but I'm sure he'll be glad to talk to you. We'll close this case and we'll move on to the next application.
The next application is application V 18-30. This is a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 301 through 303 Loomis Avenue to establish or maintain a 2-family dwelling. The property is owned by the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation and is located in a residential Class A1 zoning district.
Is there an applicant here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Caitlin Wright. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Syracuse Land Bank at 431 East Fayette Street, downtown Syracuse. We are the owner of this building. As you know, we acquire properties through the tax foreclosure process, and sometimes the properties we get happen to have lost their grandfathering. We mostly list properties for sale as fixer-uppers, and we'd rather be selling legal non-conforming uses than illegal non-conforming uses, so we try whenever possible to apply for these variances before listing a property. If it's a demolition candidate, obviously we don't bother with that. In your packet, you'll see the standards of proof for our application for 301 to 03 Loomis. We believe that this was built in 1880 as a two-family. All the way back to 1936, the assessment records show that it was a two-family. We've calculated what would the cost to renovate as a two-family versus the cost to convert to a single-family, and the rate of return would be half what it would be for rehabbing it as a two-family if we were required to make our buyers convert it to a single-family. We don't believe that we can attract a buyer that would be willing to do the project for such a small return. Unique circumstances. There are a mix of single and two-family houses on this block. This house, configured as a two-family, has about twice as much square footage as the average single. So if it were converted to a single family, it would be twice as big as the other single-family homes on that block. We don't think that it would affect the essential character of the neighborhood because there is a mix of single and twos there right now. And we would argue that this is not a self-created hardship because we don't really have much choice in what kind of properties we get through the tax foreclosure process. Unfortunately, we couldn't figure out a way to renovate this house and accommodate on-site parking. If you were to install a proper driveway, you would back your car out directly into a crosswalk, and obviously that's not acceptable. So we're going to rip out the small amount of concrete that is still there where it looks like maybe there used to be a driveway and make it clear when we market the property that it does not have any off-street parking.
Questions? Is there street parking in that neighborhood?
Yes, there's ample street parking.
And you don't have a purchaser yet.
We don't have a specific buyer lined up, no.
You do make an effort to market to owner occupants who will
Yes.
then rent the other.
Yes.
Is that a requirement?
It's not a requirement. But if we were to get two applications, say one from a landlord and one from an owner occupant, our board does prioritize owner occupancy.
Even if they offer less.
Yep. Yep.
Any other questions? No other questions? Well,
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Hearing none, we'll...
The next application is V-18-33. This is a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 1207 Park Street to establish a retail use. The property owner is Dumar Kandul, and it's located within a residential Class A zoning district. I don't believe I see the property owner here.
It's not here.
He was sent a public notice.
What do you want to do? Hold it over?
I would.
Okay, make a motion. And is anybody here to speak in favor or against this application? Makes it easy.
I make a motion that we hold over this case. Any second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next.
The next application is application V-18-34. This is an area variance for the special permit requirements for the property at 443 through 447 Burnett Avenue to construct a stage. The property owner is New Burnett LLC, and the applicant is Julie Briggs Leone, and the property is located within a business Class A zoning district.
Hi, I'm Julie Briggs-Leone. I reside at 208 Peck Avenue, Syracuse, 13206. My husband and I are planning to open the listening room at 443, which is going to be a cafe and lounge serving coffee, wine, locally crafted beer, and classic cocktails. Live acoustic music is a big focus of ours, which is why we're requesting permission to have a stage. In addition to the live music, we plan to use the stage to host book readings, roundtable discussions, and classes. Our intention with the stage is not to do anything with the sound, which, as I understand it, is what the concern is. It's about the sight lines in the room. It's a long rectangular shaped room, and we want the people on either end to be able to see our performances. Elevating the performers or not elevating them shouldn't have an effect on the sound. If you've ever been to a live music performance, you'll notice the speakers are elevated regardless of whether the performers are. You'll see them either mounted on the walls or up on a stick on a tripod, as they would be in this case, either way. But you wouldn't be able to tell the difference sound-wise about the performance. For us, it's really about the sight lines. Our events are going to take place early. They're going to happen between 6 and 9 p.m. We plan to close the business for the night at 10 p.m. And we really are trying to be a positive addition to the neighborhood. The neighbors behind us that are zoned residential, they are within 300 feet of us, but they are located on Holly Ave behind us. They're separated by our parking lot, a tree line, and their parking lot. So I don't think they can hear anything that's happening within our walls. And we have 2 apartments directly above us, and my landlord lives in one of them. So we're actually very conscious of not disturbing the residents who live around us with our activities.
You already have music performances there?
We haven't opened yet.
I saw pictures. That's it before opening?
It's in process, yes. We're awaiting our liquor license mainly.
You say you're offering acoustic music.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean no amplification?
They'll be amplified, there'll be speakers, but it would never be a full band. It's just the space isn't really big enough. And again, we have people living directly above us. So it would be solo, duo, trios generally.
But there would be a PA system there
Correct.
at all times?
Yep, absolutely.
So my only question is this: if we approve it, then we approve it in perpetuity,
Right.
and there might be someone who came along afterwards, and you said we're not planning a rowdy bar, but
Right.
what would be the potential of the spot of this place for something that would be a nuisance if someone else took it over from you afterwards? Can you judge?
If you had, I mean, if we were wanting to do that sort of an establishment, if we were planning on loud rock bands, whether we had them elevated or not wouldn't impact that at all. I think that space has been that kind of place before. But elevating them 12 to 18 inches isn't going to make a difference with the sound levels. And we've already gotten the waiver to do the entertainment part of it. For us, again, it's really just about the sight lines. But if somebody were to go in and they wanted to have a punk rock bar or a loud rock bar or something like that, elevating that band isn't going to impact what it sounds like.
So by elevating the stage or the...
We're trying to just have a platform. What we're talking about is it's about 11 feet wide by 8 feet deep, if I'm remembering correctly, and it would be 12 to 18 inches high, depending on what we settle on with it.
Is it in the pictures you provided?
It's in the
already?
pictures. Because the establishment that was there before us,
You can see a picture.
yeah, we didn't realize it was an issue because one of the establishments there prior to us had stages. So we kind of got partway into the construction of it.
When do you plan to open?
We were hoping for last month, actually. We're hoping by the end of the year.
So it's the food, you're serving food?
Minimal amount of food. We don't have a kitchen, so we'll be assembling food behind the bar, and we'll be doing baking for the coffee part of it off-site.
It looks kind of living room-ish.
It is. It's we want it to feel like you're at a friend's living room.
Maybe to keep the sound down, no applause, just snaps.
Sure,
Okay,
that
good,
works.
good.
And everybody will wear black turtlenecks, right?
Yeah.
Steph, can I ask, you may not know, are there sound limitations or sound ordinances that they would have to operate within if there's too much sound coming out of that building?
Probably the regular ones that...
Yeah, there is the nuisance abatement law, noise ordinance, which would be police. But it's really about the permanency of the structure. It's an accommodation that is not for eating or drinking. It's for performances and entertainment. So sound is part of it, but it is about the physical structural accommodation.
For stage. So the whole thing is about whether we allow them to have a stage or not. That's the, you know, that's the whole thing.
They may have entertainment without the stage if we say no.
That's correct. The planning commission did waive the distance requirement for entertainment within 300 feet of a residential use or district. This is additional upon that. So if you didn't grant the stage, they could still have entertainment.
So all the neighbors are behind you, is that what you were saying?
Well, the neighbors that are zoned
Residential.
residential are behind us on Holly Ave. The ones, we have a residence next to us, but that's in the same zoning classification as we are, I believe. I think they're zoned local business.
Have you had any contact with the neighbors?
Yes, yeah, they're actually very anxious for us to open.
Okay, so
There's no
your
coffee
testimony
shop
is
in that area.
They support
Yeah.
this. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything negative about the project from anybody. They're actually very anxious for us to get open.
Has the building been vacant? How was it used before, do you know?
It has been vacant for quite a while. My brother-in-law and father-in-law are the owners. They acquired it about 4 years ago. I don't think there has been a tenant, somebody was using it for storage, but it hasn't been a business that's been open in that time. Prior to that, it's always been a bar restaurant.
Can you name a former?
Yep, it was the Tunic Hotel, and before that it was the OPL, the Old Parochial League, and it was Mrs. O'Leary's prior to that.
Okay, that's what I was, Ms. O'Leary's back porch.
I think that's what it was called, yeah.
That goes.
Yeah, I was told it had the front of a porch in the middle of
That
the,
was a big loud bar.
as I understand it, yes.
I remember. Yeah. I've been around a while. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay.
We're across from the old train station, next to Bonton Glass.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Hearing none, we'll keep on moving. Oh, I don't know. That was probably before your.
The next application is V-18-35. This is a use variance for the uses permitted for the property at 302 through 304 Gear Avenue to establish a two-family dwelling. Property is owned by the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation and is zoned residential class A1.
All right, again, I'm Caitlin Wright with the Greater Syracuse Land Bank. This is a similar property. City of Syracuse assessment records indicate that this property was built as a two-family in 1920. It was converted to a three-family sometime in the 1980s. It's not clear to me whether it was legally converted to a three-family or not. The property's been vacant since 2012, and it was foreclosed on and turned over to us in July of 2018. The way it's currently configured, there's one apartment on the ground floor, and the upstairs has been converted into 2 apartments for a total of 3 units. The way they did that was a little weird. It's almost like they just kind of shut a door and screwed it shut. So it's odd. We think that it would be more appropriate to have it converted back to a 2, but conversion to a 1 would not be cost effective, and it's in an RA1 zoning district. So we're seeking a use variance to keep it as a 2-family. We think that can be done cost effectively. If you were to keep it as a 3, you'd have fire code issues as well, because then the 2 upstairs units don't each have 2 means of egress. But if it's 1 unit upstairs, then it has front and back means of egress. So cost effective, we think it can be cost effectively converted to a 2, but not to a 1. As far as unique circumstances, again, this building is twice as large as the other single family homes on the street. So if it were converted to a 1, it would be an unusually large single family. We don't think that this will change the essential character of the neighborhood, because it already contains a mix of 1- and 2-family homes. And because we acquired this through tax foreclosure, we don't believe that it's a self-created hardship.
Questions?
Is there on-site parking?
That is a good question.
Looks like it.
There is, yes.
Well, the garage to the left in the picture isn't theirs. It's the
No,
Same color.
it's
corner lots.
behind the
Yeah,
house there.
so the driveway's to the right around that fence. You can see the.
Correct.
Yeah. What's that?
Yes. Doors that you can see in the front are 2 separate doors to the 2 apartments.
Correct.
same conditions would apply of favoring an owner occupant.
You provided all those costs away. No questions? No questions? Okay.
Thank you.
We're quiet today. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Hearing none. We'll go to our next case.
Okay, the next application is application V-1602 M3. This is a use variance modification for the uses permitted for the property at 350 South Clinton Street rear to establish an entertainment, event, gallery, and assembly space. The property owner is J.C. Land Fund LLC, and this is located within a central business district, general service A zoning district.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Perteski. I am the attorney for J.C. Land Fund, LLC. Our offices are at 126 North Salina Street, Syracuse 13202. First of all, thank you for your time this afternoon. We're before you to, this is the second time I've been before you, but we were before you even before that, before I was involved. This facility is a relatively new building that was constructed on a railroad platform on Clinton Street. And the intention initially was to have a doggy daycare business. The applicant, the owner of the building, attempted that proposition. Unfortunately, there wasn't the demand that we expected to be downtown for that type of business, and we weren't able to get the kind of customers necessary to keep that business going. One of the things we did ask for last time was to, in conjunction with the doggy daycare, to have a public event space or an assembly space. And this board has actually granted us that request, and we appreciated that. But it was really in conjunction with the doggy daycare. Since there is no longer any doggy daycare, we are requesting that we allow that type of use to be acceptable at that building. The city code does not prohibit this use. It's just there is no provision to allow this use in this zoning district. In fact, as you all are aware of, in downtown Syracuse, there are many spaces that are used as public assembly and event spaces in and around this area, but they're all in conjunction with some other type of use. So we are requesting that this brand new building, which is a beautiful building, I don't know if you've seen it or visited it, it's a beautiful building, be allowed for public assembly and event space. The applicant is also very interested in creating some type of small-scale art gallery that would allow for local artists to present their works and keep them there while the event space and the assembly space was being used. So that's our request. If you look through our application, we actually have two components to it. The first is interpretation of what we're proposing, and we believe that it's an allowed use as of right in this district. But if this board chooses to not make that interpretation, we have also set forth the reasons why we think a use variance is appropriate for this use.
If we approve the variance, what changes will physically be made in the facility?
None.
Nothing.
And how will, if doggy daycare wasn't enough to keep this viable, how's an art gallery and event space?
Well, we have entered into a long-term lease with a person who is experienced in presenting or providing such an event space with catering on site. So we've already seen where this will hold promise for an economic return, which we could never get under the doggy daycare concept.
It won't be open necessarily every day. It'll be special events.
Correct.
your client own the building?
Yes, J.C. Land Fund, whose sole owner is Joe Hucko, is the owner of the building.
But he's not the one that had
Has the lease? No.
the doggy daycare.
Yes, he was.
Oh, he was the one?
Yep.
Other questions?
How long was the dog daycare?
It was probably a 6-month process, but surprisingly to me, frankly, they're just, we thought because of the residents downtown, the new residents that are coming downtown, that kind of space would be needed, and that was kind of what the basis of the business plan was, but there just wasn't the interest that we expected to be.
Never saw an ad, never saw it on Facebook. You know, this was a reminder that we had done this, but,
Yeah.
Do you anticipate exterior art, sculpture, anything like that?
Actually, yes, we're talking about not only paintings that would be hung on the wall, but sculptures. There's both indoor space and outdoor space, so we're looking at those types of things also.
I'm just thinking of ways of seeing from the street that this is an art space.
Yeah.
Seems like that would be important to make it, to telegraph that.
other questions? Hearing none. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask one question for clarification? So I just want to put it on the table that it wouldn't be akin to like a Westcott Theater where there would be a band coming and private people would be invited through an invitation. It's clearly that's accessory too. So I know that your client has an application in for an entertainment license, and so we just want to be able to, if this board approves this, make sure we're signing off on everything necessary. Could you explain that as an entertainment piece?
Well, sure. That would be while the art gallery we think is a good idea, and there will be people in the facility to come to events. The events would really be the driving force behind the economics of the business, not so much an art gallery, because you don't make money in art galleries usually.
Well,
So,
what Heather's asking though, is it akin to a theater? Are you going to have shows there?
no. This would be, it would be, from what I understand, events that might take place, like a business would want to rent a space, a nice space for their holiday party, for instance, and they could have a space downtown to do that. And there might be some, small entertainment, but this is a small building. It's only a 4,000 square foot building, and it's a wide open building. So it would include whatever would come along with a small gathering of individuals.
If we were to approve this, is there anything in the wording of this that would prevent it from becoming a permanent concert facility?
Yes, that's why I asked the question.
It's not intended to become a concert facility at all. It's intended to become an event space for businesses downtown who want to hold events for their employees or maybe for their customers. Like we do, I'm a part of a law firm, and in the bottom of our building, which is right there, there is a space that's available for the tenants of the building to have a reception for a Christmas party.
I understand what you're saying, but can we put a condition in there?
Well, I think the key here is that it's not open to the public to come in whenever they so choose.
Oh, no.
It's rented out privately and by invitation only through the person hosting that event.
Correct.
Could a concert promoter
Yeah,
invite
right,
people
yeah.
in on a regular basis?
I mean, a private event could be a concert where,
I have to ask my lawyer.
Yeah. We would stipulate to any language that you'd like to put in that this is not intended to be a concert venue in any way. It's intended to have private events for private individuals who invite people to the event, whether it's their employees or their customers or their clients. So whatever language that this board feels comfortable with to restrict it so that we aren't a concert venue, I think we'll be comfortable with.
I think focusing on the assembly piece would accomplish that, its purpose is a gathering space and not, while there's an entertainment element to it, that its purpose is not for major entertainment. Its primary purpose is the assembly. But because I think your point is well taken, that under the logic of it being invitation based, it could very well be a concert with invitations.
Yep. Okay, so we'll talk about, if we do go to approve it, we'll talk about language later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I actually have one question. So doggy daycare opens, 6 months go by, you don't have any dogs or enough to keep the business going. Did somebody run the numbers to see if there's enough business for this private type event space?
Well, we already have somebody who is, oh, I'm sorry, continue.
Well, that you guys think this is actually going to be viable and we're not going to see again in 6 months when you tell me that it didn't work?
We are confident that we have a tenant who's willing to pay us money to perform the event type space that we're talking about, the event assembly space we're talking about.
Is this person like an art dealer? Is that what you're getting at?
He's a restaurateur downtown that is used to holding events, and he likes this space because it is eclectic, it's new, it's nice, and he has been he feels that he can make this work, and we do too.
How many people can it hold?
It's a 4,000 square foot building, so
usually fire code says 15 square feet per person, so it would be up to the fire department.
Yeah.
Because they will review the plans as well.
Mhm.
So
And then parking for 150? Folks?
there are no parking requirements downtown, but maybe Tim, if you want to talk about
Just
availability.
From
yes,
the economic perspective of if you lease space and or rent it.
there are parking spaces along the railroad. There's a platform on top, and there are several parking spaces along there that would be dedicated for this use. There's also parking spaces down on the street that would be available for this use. So we think that the parking is sufficient for the types of events we're talking about. We're not talking about large scale events. We're talking about smaller scale events.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to new business, 124, 126 Dell Street. Modification of a use variance. Do we call up, you want to call the, sure, yeah, okay, go ahead. Come on up. Come on down. Go ahead.
I'm William Pitcher, Pitcher Architect, 124 Fiegel Avenue, representing the owner and the tenant. The property is zoned as a residential property, but has previously approved use variance for commercial use. It's a two-story building. The first floor is one restaurant, the second floor is another restaurant. We're requesting modification of the existing variance to accommodate a new tenant. The currently approved tenant, Taste of India Restaurant, is moving out, and Westcott Wine Bar is proposing to renovate the interior spaces and move in. The second floor will be unchanged. We request continuance of all approved waivers and approval of the new first floor configuration. The site has 9 previously approved parking spaces. The square footage of the customer area on the first floor is unchanged. The actual number of seats is decreasing from 50 seats to 40 seats, thus reducing the number of occupants in the space. The hours of operation are proposed 7 days a week, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And the business plan is of a restaurant and wine tasting bar. The existing signage will remain. The only thing that'll change is the graphics. We're not changing the size of any of the signage. And I'll let the new restaurateur talk about the menu and the business plan.
I have some.
You better be good, because I'll miss them.
So my name is Jared Ian Stafford Hill. I live at 107 Harrington Road in Syracuse, 13224. And this is the overview you have in your hands for the restaurant and wine bar known as St. Urban. I mean, the basics are laid out there, especially on the first page. Keeping a lot of what Taste of India was doing, no longer offering lunch, so we're actually have shorter hours than they did, but it's seating about the same, space is about the same. There's no major construction, just new furniture. It's a seasonal American, contemporary European style of food. Fresh ingredients, a lot of attention put into selecting top quality wines from around the world.
Don't wear smart casual clothing, you turn them away.
Absolutely not.
I'm looking at the dress code.
Good luck on that.
Good luck on that.
Category, smart casual.
And there's ample parking, you think?
Yeah, there's 9 of our own spots right out front in our lot, and then there's tons of street parking as well as a big lot just right around the corner.
Will there be table service or people pick it up?
Oh yeah, table service. Mm-hmm.
Now, when do you plan to open?
The target is for Valentine's Day.
Next year?
Okay, so, why, okay, it's a modification of a use variance.
Yeah.
So what are we?
You're looking at, it's not a hearing, so usually staff just presents this. So you're looking at the changes to the floor plan and the hours of operation.
What were the previous hours, do we know?
Well, they did lunch and dinner, so they opened at 11 or 11:30, and then they stayed open through dinner, so it was 10 o'clock, maybe 11 on the weekends.
And your
Shorter hours, but a little later is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When are they closing?
They have closed. They closed October 14th.
And this is not a place, you don't have a place that you're moving to here. This is a whole.
Brand new. Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
How many employees do you expect to have?
I think we're going to start out with 9 employees, counting myself.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, oh yeah, okay, so we're not asking anybody.
No, you don't have to call the public.
Right, but we do need to
you can make a-
approve it.
Yeah, I just, we have to just verify, can you hang on just, Melissa, for 1 second? So can you tell the board what the issues are? I believe the floor plans are not labeled correctly, so I want you to make sure you're looking at the correct information.
You mean in the things that were just handed, they're not labeled?
No, I don't have those.
Page 319 is labeled as first floor, but in the title block, next to 8A1, it says, proposed juice bar second floor. So I just was gonna ask the architect to, can you submit something? Yeah.
Have you been in contact with any neighbors about the later hours or things?
Yes and no. I mean, I know plenty of people that live in the neighborhood, and you know, the consensus so far is they definitely want something of this sort. But I haven't set out to interview neighbors per se.
There's a residential space right next to it, right downtown.
How late is the beer place open?
Similar hours, yeah.
Is the Japanese place still open around the corner?
It is.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Rationale, please.
The changes to the original variance are minimal. We're reducing actually the number of seats in the facility, so there ultimately could be fewer customers. We're reducing the hours of operation, so again, perhaps less impact. I don't see a problem.
Okay, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll see you.
We'll be in. Check it out.
Okay,
The-
1727,
Yes.
time extension request for 213 Crowley Street. There's a note
We,
from the applicant on the next page.
we heard this
22.
the last
No.
meeting, and apparently, when he requested a 1-year time extension, I did it from the date of approval. He was asking for a 1-year time extension from the time he actually took ownership of the property. So because of the winter months coming, he's asking
Fine.
that we extend it to
Is
August.
there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
No, I think, well, because of the time factor, I believe it's appropriate to
Yeah.
give them the extension.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're all set on that. Let's go to the cases now. We'll go back to the other stuff. So we can get some people out of here who would like to go home. 1117 Butternut Street, area variance for required yard. That's a land bank project, correct?
No, Housing Visions.
That was housing, got it. Okay, is there a motion? Are you on this case?
I believe, council, can I vote on this, or should I not?
Now you're a board member of VisionWorks.
Housing Visions.
House Vision, sorry. The standard is that if you have a direct financial interest, you have to recuse yourself, but if it's another interest, the standard is that you have to make it known once you have put it on the record.
Okay. So as a board member with a fiduciary responsibility, that's not a financial interest?
I don't believe it would be. I can double check.
I'm just-
But I don't think it is it? It's personal and financial? It's personal and financial, so,
I'm an unpaid volunteer board member.
volunteer board member.
You still have fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, I think that in this circumstances, the fact that you've disclosed is enough.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
There would be, if you do, restrain from voting, there would still be a quorum.
So, both sides.
I'll see how things go then.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Rationale, Mike?
Well, will there be a change to the neighborhood character? I believe this would be an improvement with the new construction and the improvement to the Grassman Street. Is there an alternate solution available if the variance is not needed? Well, I would think not, because it's already been approved by the Planning Commission and the Common Council, and we're one of another things to grant the project on its way. Is the magnitude great for, it's a small in that we're only talking about a few feet of land on the side street. Will there be an adverse effect to the surrounding neighborhood? Probably not, because no evidence was shown. And it's not self-created difficulty because we are well into the project, and I think it's fine.
Anything else?
I'd add that the self-created, it's not self-created because the
Fire department.
department required that street go, or that go to be dedicated.
Okay, all in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. That passes 4 with 1 abstention. 301, 303 Loomis Avenue, use variance, uses permitted, to establish a 2-family dwelling. Is there a motion?
I move we approve.
I'll second.
Your rationale, please. It's a use variance, you have to.
Right, so we've seen ample evidence that the applicant can't realize a reasonable return if it is converted to a one-family dwelling, since it was originally built as a two-family dwelling, there would be a lot of reconstruction required, and the rate of the return on investment would be much smaller. The alleged hardship is unique, I think, in the sense that this is has lost grandfathering. That's what makes it unique. The rest, in terms of the third one, are altering the essential character of the neighborhood. There is a mix of one and two family dwellings in the neighborhood, and this would actually alter the character if it became a one family, because it would be so much larger than the other one families in the neighborhood. And the alleged hardship is not self-created, because this was originally a two-family dwelling and built that way in the first place.
Anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay, all those in favor of approving, is there a environmental statement you have to make?
Okay. Yeah, we can make a negative declaration in terms of environmental impact, because it's not actually gonna change the structure in any way.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes. We're skipping number 3. Go to V1834, area variance, 443, 447 Burnett Avenue. So that is the stage. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Will there be a change to the neighborhood character? No, because this is an indoor project. Alternate solutions available? Not really. If she wants to, if the occupant wishes to raise up the performers to see what's going on. The magnitude is not large. And is there an adverse effect to the surrounding neighborhood? I don't believe so. It's going to be an indoor performance. It's acoustic, and there's a lot of space between the building and where people actually live. And is it self-created? No, because it's a new venture.
I think we got ample evidence that the neighborhood was in favor of this project, so that it wouldn't have an adverse effect on the neighborhood, so that's why.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the variance for the stage say
Aye.
Aye.
that passes. Good luck. We'll see you too. V1835, use variance, I think this is another land bank case, 302, 304 Gear Avenue. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
201. Second.
I'll second.
Back to Mike.
With the land bank, can the applicant make a reasonable return? I think evidence was given that if it would turn back to one family, it would be a exceptional expense, and the alleged hardship is unique. It's not it is unique. Having seen the property driven by, you can tell from the side of the house that it's probably was built as a two-family because of the spacing of the windows. Like what would be, there's like a triple section of windows. It's on both the first floor and the second floor, which was probably a dining room. The requested use variance, if granted, will not, or I doubt if, it's highly unlikely if this is granted that the neighborhood will be changed. If this is granted and the hardship is not self-created because it was a derelict property which we now are trying to rehabilitate. And I see it be a negative declaration for seeker.
Anything else, Christie?
No.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes.
So boring.
We're very generous today. Last one is V1602M3, use variance modification for 530 Clinton, formerly the doggy daycare. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the addition.
You want to state the condition?
I want to work on the wording of the condition, with the condition that it be used primarily as an assembly area, assembly facility, and not as a concert venue. Anything I'm missing in that wording, you think?
I
Concert or
can,
performance venue maybe, because
so I can work with the law department, and since you have to adopt the resolution, when we write that up, you can review that and see if it's satisfactory to your motion.
Okay.
But we will work on the legal language to satisfy your condition.
All right, do I need to make a negative declaration even though it's a? Okay. We've reviewed the changes that would be made to the existing variance and have a negative declaration on the environmental impacts. The applicant cannot realize a reasonable return. I'm afraid it's been shown fairly conclusively that the doggy daycare wasn't going to work out financially. And we hope that this new venture will. The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique. Oh, this is a unique property in a unique location. I think we have to give it some leeway because of that. The requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood's gotten a lot better since this building was built, and we hope it can become more lively with more enterprise there. And is the hardship self-created? The doggy daycare did not work out, so in that sense it is a bit self-created, but here's an attempt to make it work, and so let's give them a chance.
anything else?
It's a seeker.
We need a second.
Oh, we need a second. We haven't seconded. We don't have a second.
I'll second.
Have anything else to say?
Seeker and a tool. Second, you need a seeker.
We just did the seeker.
In the beginning.
Oh.
It's hard to hear way over there.
Yeah, I'll only say I think we all hope that this succeeds because it's a use of urban space that could be really valuable, so.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
I'm
That
opposed,
passes.
actually. I'm opposed.
Oh, you're opposed?
Yep.
Okay. We'd like to hear.
So since this is a use variance, we're looking at a test where we have to meet all the requirements, and I don't think the financial piece was really strong enough. You tell me you tried for 6 months and it didn't work out. I hear you, but I didn't see any proof of that. Also the self-createdness, if it's self-created, then unfortunately we run a risk of.
You should tell us in advance because it could sway us. You know. Okay, well, any reason to revote? No, okay, so it passes 4-1. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna vote on accepting this, schedule for next year. As usual, you've checked holidays and things like that?
I did.
Okay,
In addition, we're going to add January 3rd to that.
December 5th, December 19th, and January 3rd.
January 3rd to the beginning.
To the beginning, I got you, sorry. I'm looking at the end. Okay, do we have to vote on that?
Yeah.
Motion? To approve?
I'll make a motion to approve next year's meeting schedule.
All those in, discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I make a statement congratulating our new state senator-elect?
I'll second that.
We're very proud of her, and it's great news. And then we'll approve next time's authorizations, December 6th. 3 cases, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, unless you want to discuss it, say aye.
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 Okay, motion to adjourn? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.